All right, guys, and welcome to episode 6 of the Midfield 4 podcast. Today, we're going to be doing our end of season Premier League awards. So we're going to be discussing the team of the season, signing of the season, player of the season, young player of the season, etc. Just as we've got one game left to go. So we'll get straight into that. Just introduce my three co-hosts first. Matt, how are you?
Good, thank you, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. Tay, how you doing?
I'm perfectly well, thank you, mate.
Happy days. Confident for this weekend?
Extremely.
Really?
No.
Don't think so.
No.
It would be a major shock, but
we see it happens. It happens.
You're not the ones under pressure, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Demille, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. I'm fine.
Ready for the suffering to finally end this weekend for this season? I'm sure you feel the same.
I don't think I'll watch it, to be fair.
I don't even know. I think there's better games to watch.
There's better games to watch.
Is it Palace away?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Might scrape into Europa. But anyway, before we get cracking on with our, team of the season and such, we will start with the quiz as always. I think if you watched last week, you'll know that we went with a slightly different format, and I think Demille is going to keep that up today with a category. So, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, Demille's going to name the category, and then the other three of us will take turns to name a thing that relates to that category. So, an answer, and then you keep going until the last person standing. Tay was victorious last week, so we'll see if he can carry that on this week. So, Demille, I'll hand over to you. What's this week's topic?
So this week's topic is footballers who have scored 100 or more Premier League goals. So
Okay.
Footballers that have scored 100 or more Premier League goals.
Okay.
The order on my screen is Matt, Ethan, Tay. So I'll let you know first. There's 33 possible answers. So
I played this game with my mates before, so
No
I'm
pressure.
gonna be mad.
I promise you, we were really drunk and we managed to clear off like 29, and I was really
No
impressed.
pressure then.
No
That's
pressure.
unreal, to be fair.
Right,
I
let's
reckon
get
I'll
cracking.
fumble early, so yeah.
So, mate, you got first go.
Henri.
Yeah.
Am I second? Sorry.
Ethan's second.
Oh, I'm second. All right, I'll go Ronaldo,
Ronaldo. Shearer.
Right.
Rooney,
Van Nistelrooy. No. How many do
Is
I
that
get?
wrong?
Yeah, of course it's wrong.
Yeah.
I fumbled. I'm out. Man said Van Nistelrooy.
It's a lot harder than you think this, though, because there's so few names it
Nah,
can
that's
be.
poor from me.
Nailed off
There's
30.
so many.
There are, but there's...
Tay's fumbled, right? Go on in that
Am I
week.
out? Am I out?
York.
Yep.
Lampard.
Say again.
Lampard.
Yep.
Andy Cole.
Andy Cole. I don't think so. No.
Yeah, he's near the
Oh
top,
shit.
Oh,
Shit.
Yeah,
Forget-
Andy Cole.
Andy Cole's correct.
Right, I'll go Jamie Vardy,
Yeah.
Harry Kane.
That's a new
Yeah.
one.
Romelu Lukaku.
Son.
Say again.
Son.
No son.
Son! That's
I
one
feel
than
like I saw a
mine.
stat the other day.
That's
Son.
worse than mine.
No son. You get 10 seconds.
Drogba. No.
Oh, you didn't get
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Yeah. Drogba's correct.
Yeah, no, Tay got knocked out for a wrong answer. Go on, let him back in. You can have one wrong answer. Go on, you can come back in.
Tay just quit himself. I didn't say you could.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right.
you literally gave like
do I
5
get another
seconds
go?
and then said, nah, I'm
Yeah,
over.
go on.
Yeah, go on.
Aguero.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Did I say Lukaku? Yeah.
Yeah. You did.
Yeah.
Scholes. Say Scholes?
Yep.
Did I say that?
Yep. Scores is
Rooney?
fine.
Giggs.
Scores is fine.
Okay.
Thanks, Ethan.
Cheers, he said Rooney.
Who?
Yep.
Rooney.
Yeah, Rooney.
Who?
didn't
Rooney.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll take
Yeah,
Giggs
we have
then.
Rooney.
Go again.
he? That's me.
Nice me. Jermaine Defoe.
Yep.
Letizia.
Yes. 100 goals.
Just the bum.
Camp.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think
Bergkamp is not here.
Eee.
Matt's gone.
That's
Yeah,
that's
Suarez.
2-2. So Matt's gone.
Long.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
Oh, man, I'm
Yes.
struggling now. Robbie Fowler.
Yeah. Yes.
Have we had Les Ferdinand?
We haven't had Les Ferdinand.
Oh, mate. Salah.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. I'm not Son.
Who scored 100 goals for Liverpool? Oh, he's played for Liverpool. Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane is correct.
Mane.
Mane is correct.
He just hit it recently, didn't he? I swear.
He's
Yeah,
110 goals.
this season. Yeah. Anelka. As Anelka.
Anelka's correct.
Oh my god. Kane? We had Kane.
We've had Kane.
Oh god.
10 seconds.
I reckon I'm done here. Van Persie.
I think we've had we haven't had Van Persie, so I'll allow it. Yeah.
Have we had Gerrard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You said Van Persie. I'm trying to think. Surely. Can I have Giggs now?
No, because Matt said Giggs.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
How much?
I think you got 5 seconds left.
Heskey. Is Heskey?
You said Heskey, I think.
Have we?
Have we? I don't think so.
We have.
Okay.
Sterling?
Heskey's fine.
Sterling? Oh.
Heskey's fine.
Oh,
Give
God.
them an answer, Sans.
Nah, forget that. Sheringham.
Yep.
I'm going off Liverpool players. Peter Crouch, has he? He played his whole career.
Yep. Peter Crouch.
Yes. Oh, mate.
No way,
I
Peter
didn't
Crouch.
think he had. I didn't think he had.
That's unreal.
Mate. We've had loads here. I might be done.
There's about I'm counting now. There's about 3. You guys must be like there's like 3 left. So no, you. I don't think anyone said. Oh no, yeah, Matt said it.
Come on. Who have we got?
There's about 3 left.
Yeah, I don't reckon we're getting this.
I've got a few names, but I don't know if they have 100 goals. I just know they've played there for a long time, so they might.
Ethan, about 5 seconds left.
Yeah, I'm throwing it in. Take and have it.
Right, before that, is Darren Bent on there?
Darren Bent is there.
How's Darren Bent?
Sterling, you didn't say. Technically,
Yeah.
Sterling you didn't say, so Ethan could have snatched that.
Someone said Drogba as well.
Yeah.
Drogba was there, and the other one was Dion Dublin.
Dion Dublin.
That was it. We
Leon
got the rest.
Dublin.
That's it.
You know what? You
That's,
boys.
that's a good effort. I'm happy with that. I thought we'd have missed a few obvious ones, but no, I'm happy with that. Tay goes 2-0 up on this version of the quizzes. Fair enough. Not sure what the overall standings are. I'll have to top them up. I can't quite remember. But yeah, again, I enjoyed that. Let us know if you're enjoying that format. We'll get straight into it. So we're going to do our team of the season. So I've drawn up some nominees. I've gone for sort of 3 or 4 players for each position, and then we're going to sort of together, come to a final team, and then we've got some other different awards at the end. So starting with goalkeeper, I've got 3 nominees here. Again, if you guys disagree with them, I've gone through with Matt and Tay these, but I know you won't have heard them yet. So if you want to chip anything else in, then go ahead. But goalkeepers, I've gone for Ederson, Alisson, and Jose Sarr as the 3 nominees.
How's Ederson even there?
I don't think Edison's deserved to
Yeah, neither.
nominate.
Not even as a nominee.
No.
No.
Anyway, I don't think there's much debate for who's going in here, regardless, to be fair. The other 2 are just had to make it the numbers. I don't know if anyone disagrees.
It has to be Alisson.
I think if you made a world 11 for team of the season, it'd be Alisson. So just for Premier League, yeah, are we happy with that?
Yep.
Very happy.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. Right back might be the same. So our 3 nominees I've gone for are Kyle Walker, Reece James, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think Trent's probably another clear winner here.
Yeah, but I don't think it's as close as the goalkeeper department. I think all 3 are like very commendable seasons, but I just think Trent edges it again.
Do you guys see Gary Neville went for Walker?
Yeah, because he loves Kyle Walker. I don't know why. I don't know what it is.
I think he's worthy of a nomination, but I don't even think he's played 25 games.
No,
I think Matt's always mentioned this availability, and Trent's been available throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
Walker and James. How
Didn't he get an injury during the international break or something? So the one time
he came, but he only missed about 2 games.
Yeah, he only missed like 8 games.
Instant. That's the thing. Yeah, it's crazy.
He's been incredible throughout the whole season and deserved of the player of the year, player of the right back of the year.
Yeah, for sure. So Trent goes in. So for centre backs, I've got 7 nominees here for 2 positions. So those are Matip, Van Dijk, Laporte, Rudiger, Romero, Diaz, and Ben White. That's 7 nominees. I don't know if there's any other names you want to throw in.
Tillman maybe has a shout, but 3 back.
First half of the season, maybe, but he has dropped off a fair bit. Again, I don't know if I've missed anyone.
Oh, wait, did you say Michael Dawson?
Craig Dawson, you mean?
Craig Dawson, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Craig Dawson's a shout, to be fair. He definitely
He's been
deserves.
unbelievable. Considering this guy was at Watford, like,
Yeah.
not really doing much.
We're
Joined
talking
West Ham.
team of this season, though. You know.
No, I'm not saying he's in there, but I think a nominee is definitely fair for him.
Yeah, fair enough. As for picking the team, I think my number one centre back would be Matip this season, to be honest.
I don't disagree with you.
Obviously, you've got Van Dijk, and whether he makes the team, we'll see. But considering Matip couldn't, play 10 games without getting injured, I think his minutes have been managed brilliantly, which has helped him out. But bear in mind, we are going on Premier League only in this team, not any other competitions. And I think just solely in the Premier League, I think he's definitely worthy of a spot. I think he's been fantastic. He's maybe not as important, but very, very important alongside Van Dijk in that defence. Yeah,
I'd have Matip first centre back on the team sheet. To be honest, I don't think he's better than half the play. I wouldn't say he's better than Van Dijk, and that's probably about it, to be honest. But I think the importance just in the Premier League this season has been much, much more. So he'd be in for me.
What do you think? Are you guys happy with that?
I don't think you can really argue against either the Liverpool centre backs being there, to be honest. Like, I think it's just a no-brainer. Like, yeah.
Well, you'd have Van Dijk as second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I think he's a victim of his own success in some way, because he's been phenomenal this season, but he hasn't quite reached the heights of what he once was, and I think that does shadow it quite a lot. Because if he hadn't set these such high standards based on the season he has, he would be a shoehorn in there for sure. But just because he's set the standards so high, but yeah, I'm happy to go with him as well. I think Rudiger would be one that would be very close. And I have called him over it before, so it's slightly hypocritical. But on his performances this season, I think he's definitely been up there. I mean, Diaz is obviously there as well. I've put Laporte in, but I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he's also had a great season. Same with Romero and White, 2 new signings, but I don't think they get near the actual starting 11.
The only reason for me Rudiger doesn't get in the team, and I know this is a team game, but Chelsea, that is just to do with Chelsea's fall off recently as well. And you can't blame that on one man, but he's the best defender in that team. Van Dijk's the best defender in our team. And I'd say they're actually, based off the last year, they're both very similar actually. But I don't think. I think when the team's got more points, it sounds stupid. The team's got more points. It's a better team. Therefore, the player in that team,
Yeah. So we're happy to go with Van Dijk alongside Matip. This is just a Liverpool 11 so far. We'll see if that changes. But left backs, I've got another 3 nominees. I've got the main 2, which go without saying, really, and that's Cancelo, Robertson. I've thrown Tyreek Mitchell in there as well because I think he's had a great season. I think the debate here is going to be between Robertson and Cancelo, but I don't know if there's any other names you guys want to throw in as just an honourable mention.
Kostas Tsimikas.
Really?
No.
Premier League, though?
No.
Quality left back. He's played about 2 games in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's probably better than Robertson too, which is a shame.
What?
No.
Technically, he's much better than Robertson.
That's an interesting shout.
I've said this. You'll catch on next season, promise you.
I'm guessing you're not putting Robertson forward then for this position.
Yeah, it's no disrespect to Robertson, but Cancelo's a much better footballer.
Yeah.
Although you think Robertson is such a complete fullback?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm taking Robertson.
He's very he makes the left side of your that channel work and tick.
He arguably he has one of the most important roles in that Liverpool team, which is very commendable. But I think any other season he might get in there. But I think you have to have Cancelo this year. Okay. And again, I've been a critic of him at times, but there's not been a better fullback. There's not been a better left back than him this season.
No, yeah, I agree.
Do you say you disagree with that, Matt?
Yeah, I'm going Robertson. I'm not trying to make this a full Liverpool team, but I just think he's been unbelievable, so consistent, really. Not that Cancelo's dropped off second half of the season, but I don't think he's been as good as he initially was. Whereas I think Robertson is, if anything, only got better.
The level that Cancelo set first half season though was like a joke. He was absurdly good, ridiculously good, and he's playing a very unique role in that City side, as we know. I think this is actually quite close, but I am going to edge towards Cancelo on this one. So that is 3 against 1, unfortunately.
We need some diversity as well.
Yeah. Fair point. But City's defence is, how many goals less have they conceded? It's quite close, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very close.
I wouldn't, I think that
comes down to the player we're going to talk about next as well.
Yeah.
You know what it is though, is like this whole player of the season, team of the season stuff is having like mostly a Liverpool defence isn't to say Liverpool's defence is so much better than City's or even individually. It's just when you have the likes of Van Dijk and Trent and stuff, they're marginally better than bar Alisson, who's streets ahead. It's marginal, but,
for sure. All right, we'll move on to the midfield. I've got 10 nominees written down here for 3 positions, so this might be a little bit messy, but I'll read them out. So I've got Rodri, Fabinho, Rice, Gallagher, De Bruyne, Ødegaard, Neves, Ward-Prowse, Bernardo Silva, and Mount. One name that I really want in is Rodri for me, 100%.
100%.
I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league for sure. And I was watching Neville and Carragher the other day do their team of the season. I don't think either of them included him, which I think is absurd, to be honest. I think he's been the best in his position this season. I think he's massively crucial to this Man City team. And he doesn't get the respect he deserves, so I'd certainly have him in.
Well said. Yeah,
we happy with that?
Yeah, very.
All right.
I mean, much like the Liverpool defence was easy, Liverpool largely. I think City this time will be their time.
But we'll get onto it. But for me, it's a City midfield for me.
So
I'm guessing De Bruyne all goes in for you guys as well. Then.
Yeah, best player in the league.
What I find fascinating as well about like De Bruyne is when you think about it, most top players they've kind of dropped. They've had half of the season where they've been amazing, and half the season they've not been that great. And De Bruyne has just picked the clutchest second half of the season and been so instrumental to City, really.
What a hat-trick against Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible, that performance. 4 goals in a game where I think that was the first game or second game after the Real Madrid defeat. Yeah. Just like people criticising his performance in that game. And rightly so, to be fair, he wasn't great. But he really did prove people wrong by smashing 4 goals in. And like you said, first half of the season, I probably wouldn't have had him in. But second half of the season, he's been phenomenal. You can't ignore that.
I mean, I think he's still got a few years left in the Premier League at a top level. But right now, where would you have him amongst all-time Premier League midfielders? Because for me, he's got to be right up there. Right up there.
It's
a spooky conversation for when we got Vieira, Gerrard, Scholes, whoever else, Keane. But I think he's right up there.
He has to be.
When his career finishes, he could be the best.
Yeah. I just find it difficult to compare players in different eras. Though.
Of course, yeah. But you can only go off what you're given. Do you know what I mean? And
even like you said, the types of Keane and Vieira are so different to the likes of Scholes and Lampard. It's just so difficult to compare them. Never mind try to compare players from different eras, but to say he's right up there is an understatement for sure. Definitely is. And funnily enough, I think he won the Player of the Year the last 2 years, but I'd argue this season's been better than both of those seasons.
Definitely better than last
season. I don't know how he won it.
Yeah, that was season. PR for the roof. But like this season, he's been phenomenal, and will definitely be up there in our Player of the Year discussion later. So he goes in. Third midfield spot. Just want to talk about some of the players that won't get in, but have been brilliant this season. Obviously, I've got Ødegaard down, and Matt. You're a big fan of his. He won't get in the team, but fantastic signing for sure, and a definite great player for the future.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his and always have been, but there are slight concerns recently about him away from home. Quite a lot of the time he does get a bit lost away from home. I'm not really sure why that is. I'm still very young, and obviously new to the country. Well, had that loan period in this season now, but it is a worry in that regard. At home, he's unbelievable, and he has had a few decent-ish away games, but obviously that Newcastle game, just other games this season, he's got a bit lost. In that sense, doesn't like when you press him, it's very easy to take the ball away from him. He seems a bit scared. So, but aside from on the positives, though, he has had a phenomenal season, made a great impact, and been a great signing, really.
Yeah, for sure. Other names we've got. I don't think Gallagher's going to make it in from anyone, but again, I saw he got on the PFA Player of the Year actual shortlist earlier, which I think is outrageous. However, he has been fantastic this season, and whether it's at Chelsea or not, I'm sure we'll have a great future in this league. But yeah, the top 6 players in the league, I'm not quite sure, but definitely worth a nomination. Same with Ward-Prowse, who got on the Premier League's top 8 players of the season. Again, heavily disagree with that, especially considering I think they left Rodri out and Alisson. I might be wrong, but that's outrageous. But however, he has had a brilliant season, and he is a fantastic player for Southampton. And without him, I'm sure they would be flirting around with the likes of Burnley and Leeds, etc. In those positions, he's a key player for them. So I'm guessing I want to make a case. I know you lot are going to say Bernardo Silva, but I'm going to make a case for Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice.
I love Rice
this season. I don't think I would really have Rice over Bernardo. I would.
Nah, man. Not a chance.
I love Rice, but Bernardo for me is like one of the most important like players, not just at City or the league in the world. Like I think the role he does for that City side is not unheard of per se, but his profile is just so rare. You have like an 8 who's so good defensively, tracking back and such. He's the reason City can play the way they can play, and that sort of profile you have so few of them in the world, really. And
do you not find it crazy that was it the window the summer window before the one just gone that he was deemed dispensable? I don't know if anyone was going to buy him, but a top journalist was saying City could move him on and stuff, and now he's arguably their most important player. So
I'm not doubting the fact he's had a fantastic season. I just think Rice has been better consistently throughout the season. The first half season, Bernardo was phenomenal. Second half season, he's been good, but hasn't quite kept up the levels. A bit like the opposite of De Bruyne. I just have Declan Rice in there. I think he's a massively key player for West Ham. He's consistently fantastic. And Bernardo, again, I completely see your point, but I think based on consistency, I would have Declan Rice in, but I completely see the point, and I know I'm getting outnumbered here, so yeah.
You know what?
No, do you know what? I think I overreacted a bit. I hear what you're saying. I would have Bernardo, but Declan Rice is not a bad shot. It's really not.
I think the problem with someone like Bernardo as well is he had so many goals early on in the season, and I feel like people started to rate him just off that when that's not what he is. Like the goals are a bonus like that for a player in his position, but he's not the one who gets the goals in the team. He'll chip in the odd goal, but that's not like what he should be rated off. So I feel like some people will be like, oh, he's been inconsistent because he's not scored or not assisted. But definitely with Rice, I think it's a case of just unfortunate, that Bernardo, Rodri and De Bruyne are all in the league and play for City, because, you've got other players as well who've had phenomenal seasons, and it's just so hard to adjust that from that midfield three in the slightest, much like the defence, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that. That's fine. So full City midfield. A few other names I didn't mention. Mount has had a good season, to be fair. I will mention him, even though, again, I'm not his biggest fan. However, his numbers this season have been brilliant. He's a key player for Chelsea, so I couldn't not nominate him. But again, I don't think he touches the likes that we've put in the team. Neves as well, I've put in there. That was quite far-fetched, to be honest. But I think he's a very underrated player again. For some reason, people only think he's good at shooting from outside the box, which isn't true. He's been Wolves' best player by a mile this season. And on the whole, well, maybe Sarr, best outfield player by a mile. And they have had a good season, Wolves, so we wanted a bit of...
They reckon he's off, don't they, Neves?
Yeah, he was crying as he went around the pitch at Molineux, to be fair, and I've seen a few journalists say Wolves will be willing to sell, whether, Barcelona are interested, apparently, but I thought they were supposed to have financial problems, but they seem to want to buy everyone, but we'll see how that pans out. Fabinho as well, we haven't mentioned. Again, definitely worth a nomination. Again, he's been good, but I don't think he touches much this season.
It's just before Christmas, I would have had him over Rodri, but second half of the season, a few injuries, bad run of form.
He's not been great last few weeks, has he? But that doesn't change the fact that he's a fantastic player and he definitely deserves to be on this list. And I suppose you'll be hoping he's fit for the final because he's a really important player for Liverpool. So yeah, full City midfield of Rodri, Rice, Bernardo Silva, and De Bruyne. So we'll move on to the attack. So I've split this up, so I've got 3 nominations for right wing, 3 nominations for left wing, and 4 nominations for striker. So we'll start on the right. 3 great nominees. I don't think there's going to be a conversation really, but obviously Salah's there, and I'm sure he'll be in the team. But got to mention Saka and Bowen as well, who've been both brilliant this season. I'll come to you about Salah today. There's not much to say that hasn't been said already about him. Obviously, first half season he was on for a Hall of Fame season. He's tailed off a little bit, but not tailed off enough. He's definitely in this team.
Yeah, he's done with talking. I don't need to sit here and tell you how good of a season he's had. The numbers do that themselves.
He's had a very poor end to the season, though, and Bowen has had a consistently very, very good season. Just a short mention on Bowen, outrageous is he plays for West Ham, where they don't dominate the ball. He has to rely on counter attacks, and the way he progresses up the ball when his team needs it, especially, and he can get out in tight spaces. He can link up play easily. If he's in that Liverpool side, I'm not saying he gets the same amount of goals as Salah. However, I think it's just testament to him that he can do it in the West Ham side when he can't get the ball as often as Salah does. And I don't know how many goals he has and how many assists, but I know he's produced a lot. And I just want to shout out to Bone because I feel like he's been more consistent than Salah. It's just that Salah's had an unreal first half of the season that Salah has to come in to the side.
Yeah, I think it's like 12 goals and 10 assists. And if you include penalties won, he's on like 14 assists. So that is an outrageous season. And we'll speak about him a little bit more in a little bit. So the final player we just want to talk about quickly is Saka. And Matt, I'll come to you on this. Quite a bit of a disappointing end to the season, but overall definitely worthy of a nomination. Again, a very promising young player who's had a brilliant season.
All I can say is I'll be very excited for when we have backup for him, because having us be so reliant on him, he's an unbelievable player. I mean, watch him play, and that's what I need to say in that regard. But I do worry fitness-wise. I don't want, him burning out too quickly or anything, playing as much football as he has this season, even with 1 game a week or sometimes 2 or 3 because of the COVID and Premier League scheduling. It definitely will take a toll on you, and there's been a few games as well. I think he's kind of forced through to play, while being injured. And I think he's been one of the most consistent players in the league, to be honest. Just the odd game where, he's not been quite as good. And I think he had a tiny period, like a 2-game period, where he wasn't so influential. I'm not talking goal assist here, I'm just talking general performance. But yeah, he's had a magnificent season, really. And being the carrier in a Arsenal side who will probably miss out on top 4 now, but being the carrier in an Arsenal side whose striker who they started for most of the season has 2 non-penalty goals. Their backup strikers come into the fold as 4. You've got Martinelli, who's not scored in a while, Smith Rowe, who's struggled for a while. To be that carrier, to be that consistent man all the time, and he went for a period as well where there weren't overlaps or anything, so he'd be dealing 1v4s and such while he's getting the ball in the touchline. For him to do what he's done has been amazing, and the fact he's only 20 is just so exciting, really.
Yeah, 100%. And when you're a young player, you can't expect like little blips of form. You can't expect them to be, consistently brilliant all the time, which is why it's important Arsenal do bring in some players in the summer, because you can't just rely on the likes of Ødegaard, Saka and Smith Rowe, Martinelli to do all the work. You need some experience in there that's going to help as well. But yeah, he's had a brilliant season, but I'm guessing we're happy with Salah going in, despite there being some good competition there.
I feel like most of the team, there's maybe a few positions where you can argue, but most of the team's very set in stone, and the front three's no different.
Yeah, I do want to go a bit. I do want to try and be a bit different, but there's no point just saying like Bowen over Salah for the sake of it. It's just not the case. So Salah goes in. Left wing, again, I think I know who's going in here. Yeah, but Son has proved me wrong big time, because I used to think he was very, very streaky and inconsistent, but I think for the last 2 seasons his consistency has been much, much better. I say he's proved me wrong, but it's a fact that he was streaky and inconsistent before, and that's why I wouldn't put him on the world-class pedestal. But this season he's been fantastic. 21 goals, no penalties as well, which is very, very impressive.
Outrageous.
Yeah, and he'll definitely be up there for a shout for player of the season when we go through that in a little bit. There's not too much to be said again on him. It's been spoken about to death, but he's had a fantastic season, and I'm sure he will be the pick here. But I've given Mane a shout as well. Tay, I'll come to you on this one. Second half season, he's been absolutely fantastic, and a lot of people did think he was starting to be on the decline, but his performances since the turn of the year have been brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried. I was kind of worried for him, but like I said, since the turn of the year, it's not. He seems to have changed his game. Coming playing centre forward now rather than on the wing, so he doesn't have to be as explosive or tricky or whatever. But no, some of the goals he scored have just been huge, of huge importance for us. Even when he's not playing well, or we're not playing well, gets us out of tight spots, digs us out of holes. So I think he's worth a shout, especially if we do go on to win the league, which probably won't. But I do think, I would have to agree with Son on that one.
He's got that clutch team though, hasn't he?
You could argue he's the most clutch player in the squad, even though he missed a penalty at the weekend, actually, last weekend. But yeah, you could argue he's the most clutch player in the squad, and every time we've needed Mane, he's been there. Scored. It goes to show, he scored in the Champions League final. He's the guy just scores big goals, and I think in a title race, this is the exact sort of player you need. But yeah, I still have to go with Son, unfortunately.
Yeah, 100%. Mane is definitely worth a shout. I just wanted to talk about him. I've put Foden as well, who would be the third choice in this, but again, he's had a brilliant season. No?
Get him out of here.
well, he's not getting in the team. But problem is with City players, though, and I think that might be sort of why there isn't too many of them in this team by the midfield. It's just the minutes.
So much quality. In that team.
It's the minutes as well, though, because like
Yeah.
Foden has played. I think he started like 21 and played like 28 overall.
Yeah.
It's just not enough to get in the team of the season, and it's the same all over the pitch.
Yeah, like how many teams does Foden go to and play and start 21 games?
Yeah, no,
Even if fit all year?
And then-
He's the only team where he doesn't start every game.
I think that is the reason why like there's probably more Liverpool players in the team than City, because like Alisson's played every game, so is Van Dijk, Matip's played most Premier League games, so is Trent, Salah's the same, Mane's the same. So City players just get rotated in and out, so they don't have such strong of a shout for team of the season. I think that's probably a good explanation.
Not to go against Foden here, but could Luis Diaz not be in with a shout? I know he joined in January.
No,
not for me.
If we're talking about minutes, like I
guess so,
could not be here. Impact wise, maybe, but
if he replicated, if he'd been there the whole season and played like that, then yeah. But like, he's been good, but like he hasn't been that good that you'd put him with these sort of thing.
The reason I kind of say that is when I think about it, when we were talking about Salah, he was so good first half of the season when Liverpool didn't have Diaz, and their depth would have been like Origi, Oxlade-Chamberlain off the right and such. And now that Liverpool have the necessary depth, Salah's dropped off, and Diaz has been the one who's not carried Liverpool per se, but Jota's not scored as many as before. Salah, as we said, has dropped off big time. Mane started off inconsistent, then picked up big time. So that's the only reason I'd put his name in there, and I think it would be more justified than someone like Foden either way. But I'm sure there's someone else in the league who would win this. Like Zaha's had a great season, to be fair. Could be.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I just couldn't justify myself putting somebody in who, didn't play a Premier League game until February. That's all. But
Fair.
he has been fantastic, and I'm sure next season we'll be talking about him in the same way. So Son goes in left wing. Up front, I've got 4 options. I've gone for Jota, Ronaldo, Kane, and Tony. I'm not even decided who I think should go in here. There's not been,
Hey, it's between the two, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think the highest amount of goals in there is 18. No strikers hit 20 in the league this season, so there's not really been that many prolific strikers. We'll talk about Ronaldo first. I'm undecided whether I want to make a case for him or not. Obviously, he has been very, very good. He started off his second, stint at United really, really well with the goal scoring, and then it dried up a bit toward the end of 2021 into 2022. Again, and from about March onwards, he just exploded and I think doubled his goal tally. And I do wonder where we would be without him, and the cause of him being the problem and holding us back. Again, he has got his limitations, but he has proven in the last sort of couple of months that he has still got what it takes. And his record against the top sides this season as well has been very, very good, which again is something that he was for some reason criticised by. We're just talking about Cristiano Ronaldo here, and the levels he's hit at the age he is still in a terrible United side is, phenomenal. And I'm excited to see him next season under Ten Hag with some competition, hopefully for position, because another point is when he's only been forced to play 1 game a week, he's been, 10 times better. And if we can use him correctly, like manage his minutes better, I mean, I'm sure we could hit a similar amount of goals next season despite his age. And, obviously that's gone down with the Mason Greenwood situation, which obviously no one can help. The Cavani situation pretty much decided doesn't want to play this season. So Ronaldo has had to play a lot more minutes than, he's wanted to. And I think he's done a great job. So at least worthy of a nomination for sure, I think. Demil, I'm sure you feel the same.
I'll be honest, I feel like he's the deserved candidate for that spot, because if you think about it, all in all, I feel like he's had a better season than Kane.
I could agree with that.
He's definitely he's the top goal scorer out of the 4, so you got that. He's working alongside a dysfunctional United side. Sure, Tottenham don't create too many chances, but they have a good unit, good base. You have Son alongside. Got Bentancur who can provide chances. We don't really have anyone. What else I was gonna say? But echoing what you said and just highlighting that's enough to I feel make him the standout candidate, because I feel like if you look at Kane's season as well, he didn't have a good start to the season at all. If you really think about Ronaldo's season, he dropped off a month maximum.
Yeah.
I feel like Kane, it took him like a good half the year of the season to get started. I feel like Ronaldo hit the ground running, bang, and he's ended the season, bang. So I feel that's enough for him. So
I think a good comparison to make is the point you just made about him being so good in a dysfunctional United side. And
yeah,
obviously, first half of the season, it was that same with Tottenham. Tottenham were very poor under Nuno. Took a while to get their feet going under Conte. And I think by the turn of the year, he was only on about 5 or 6 league goals. And I think it took him until like October to get his first. And then since Kulusevski's come in and, it's been working well with that front three, he has exploded a lot more. And there's nothing wrong with that because obviously when you're playing in a better attack, you are going to score more goals. But then if you compare that to Ronaldo's United, who have been terrible all year, and he's still managed to score the amount of goals he has, whereas a lot of Kane's goals have come in Spurs' better period. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. And Kane certainly deserves to be on this list because he's been brilliant again. The creative side of his, again, is as important as his goals. And again, we don't need to talk about how good Harry Kane is, we all know. And if this front three stays together next season, I'm sure he will hit a stupid amount of goals like he normally does. But yeah, I can agree with that. I think the other two are definitely worth mentioning as well. I think up until about February, March, before Diaz sort of got in the team, Jota would have certainly been high on the list. We have spoke about him before on here and how he does have his limitations, but the amount of goals he was scoring, I'm not sure how many he's on now, but it's got to be at least 15. And
15
yeah, so, and he is what Liverpool were missing in that position, because with Firmino getting on, and he never scored that many goals anyway. Firmino did as much as he offered. Jota was that guy who slotted him in between Mane and Salah and scored 15 odd goals, as well as working very well together with them. Tay, I'll come to you. Obviously, you've been a Liverpool supporter. Jota certainly worth a nomination for sure.
Yeah, it's worth a nomination, but for me, not. He doesn't come close to the two previously mentioned. I can't really add on to what you said. He's exactly what we needed, and give him. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a drop in form, because I would like to argue that Josh is a bit of a patchy player. I don't know if you noticed during the season, he'll score 4 games in a row, and then he won't score for a few, and then he'll be on the bench, and he'll score one off the bench, and then he'll score the next 3.
Yeah.
So,
a bit like Son used to be.
Yeah. So I feel like if he kept it up, and I think the minute. A lot of it is a minutes restriction with Diaz, and but I think he's been played well in a lot of the games he's played in. Like even Southampton, incredible assist from Minamino's goal, great touch and control. So I don't like it when people say he's limited just because he's not the most aesthetically pleasing dribbler in the world. I understand it, I do, but no, he doesn't get in there over me. But I'd say third play. I'd have him third, and to say that about Liverpool's 4th, 5th choice of best attacker is pretty incredible. So
he adds so much to that team, and for 40 odd million, he's a massive bargain. It just works, to be honest. Really does work, and he's a different type of profile that Liverpool.
I love that type of striker. People will sit there and moan, and we've got players on the different end of the spectrum with Diaz and Jota, and people will sit there and they'll love Diaz. And I think Diaz is sensational. I love him as a player, but there's a part of me for years when we didn't really have any backup forward options, and we were watching Firmino especially when Salah and Mane dropped out of form and Firmino his goals dried up. He was just crying out for a clinical striker, crying out for it, and that's exactly what Jota is. So I don't see how people are arguing that.
But there are some people that try and run this Jota and Diaz narrative. Picking sides, like why pick sides? Like having two players that are so different like that, it's the best you can ask for.
Yeah,
like Klopp got it wrong.
You wouldn't want 2 of either of them.
Yeah. Klopp got it wrong in the Villarreal game by picking Jota over Diaz.
Yeah.
But then he changed it at half time, and it showed the difference he made. But in certain games, Jota will be the more appropriate choice, maybe against more of a deep block or such, where if he gets a chance in the box, he'll put it away. Whereas if you're against teams that are stretched a bit more and you'll have a bit more space, then Diaz is the call. And it's such a good dynamic, and it's scary going forward, to be fair.
You know what, as well, 2 things with Jota, I find it kind of interesting. Obviously, I've said whatever about him, but it kind of feels like he sacrificed his goals to have more of a complete role in the team. I don't know if that's because he's playing inferior sides and such, but he just seemed more involved and in a better way than before. So it's a bit of a tough one, because then you're critiquing him for not scoring goals, but then you're coming at him for his all-round play when he is scoring goals. So bit of a tough one there. And one thing I would say as well, my biggest concern with Jota was for big games. Games like City where you have very few touches, even tough away grounds, like Forest even this season, or Brentford, those sort of teams. That's more my concern. But against a deep block, I think what Liverpool are really doing is, for one, they used to be a side which was, relying on Firmino to drop deep and have Salah and Mane invert, but they don't need that anymore. They're far more controlled and dominant to where having someone like Jota, who's just a fox in the box, if you will, is like very effective. And it just gives them multiple options for different games. So as I said about the big game thing, they don't need to play Jota in a game where he'll have few touches or his few touches have to be good, but they can play him in a game against like Southampton or something who may sit off, or well, not even Southampton.
I do think that's a bit disrespectful though. He scored against. He's got a goal and an assist at Old Trafford. Well
done.
I think he's got 3 against Arsenal this season. He scored against Atletico Madrid. He scored against Manchester City as well. I do agree. Sometimes I watch him in a big game and wonder what he's doing, but you can't deny.
Just got to manage him right, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like when he's having a poor game, like he was against Villarreal, they can just take him off in that sense and use him when he's effective, he will.
Numbers don't lie, and some of the teams he scored against this season, they proved that. And I just think it's a little bit disrespectful calling him Southampton man.
Like to be fair though, on that, like Klopp does have a bit of a predicament in that sense, because when my biggest problems come is in those big games, as I say, because even though he'll pop up with a goal, for example, against City, he'll be not a liability per se, but it's just a bit of a weakness to Liverpool trying to keep the ball. As I say, where you have a few touches, but he does contribute to the goals. So as I say, it's a bit of a catch-22, but yeah.
Just like the point I just made again, I want to reiterate that if he's used correctly and used in the right situations, he will be effective. But of course, there are times where he will be exposed as such. So, but Klopp's managed it pretty well, to be fair. And Diaz obviously has made a great impact as well. Final player we'll just touch on quickly. I wanted to put in because we had to have some sort of Brentford persuasion in this nominee section. Because they've had a fantastic season with the circumstances. When you look at how much Norwich and Watford have struggled, for Brentford to stay up comfortably is a hell of an achievement. And we'll speak about their manager in a little bit. But obviously the addition of Christian Eriksen helped. But yeah, Tony's made the step pretty well. Matt, I know you're a big fan of his. Just a quick sum up of his season. He's made the step really well.
I think he showed two sides for his game. I'm not like an avid Championship watcher, but him breaking the Championship current record before Mitrovic came along, getting all the goals he did, obviously scoring quite a few from the spot, but also being an incredibly convincing penalty taker, which is no bad thing. But his all-round game, he was always like a bit of a handful of a striker to deal with. Aerially unbelievable, even though he's not like a 6'4" type player. He's just a pain for any defender to play against. And obviously Eriksen came in, but Raya being out, Tony being out, and obviously Eriksen not being there, that all coincided with Brentford's form dropping off a bit. The second Tony came back in the side, because with Raya as well, when you don't have a man to kick the ball to, Tony's so perfect for that, for knock-ons and stuff. His all-round play's been brilliant. His link-up play, just a top quality player really. And as I say, he's shown a different side to his game this season because he's had to. More of a defensive, work hard for the team type side. And to be honest, if I'm any top 6 side, or particularly Arsenal or Liverpool, I'm going for Ivan Toney.
Yeah, for sure. I could see him getting a big move if he continues his form. But yeah, he won't get in the team, but had to have him down. So it's just going to be either Ronaldo or Kane then, I'm guessing. Yeah. I'm happy to go with Ronaldo. As much as it feels disgraceful to put a United player in this team, I think he does deserve it. He's been phenomenal considering the circumstances. So are we happy with that?
I was going to go Kane, but after Demil's speech, I wouldn't be against it.
Cheers, man.
All right. I can't go against Kane, I'll be honest. Like, obviously, first off, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about one half of the season players are consistent, one half they're not. And obviously it does a lot of good recency bias-wise for Kane to be as good as he has second half of the season. Because if he was great first half of the season and dropped off second, but ultimately it is crunch time and he's been this good when Spurs have needed him so well.
I suppose you could argue Kane's actually going to fire Spurs too or something, whereas that's not Ronaldo's fault. But
I think I mentioned it when we played you. But that proper opened my eye about Ronaldo when he's only playing one game a week, how good his all-round game was. But I think it's just so hard for me to say anyone but Kane still.
I mean, it's a deadlock then.
Oh.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Spin a wheel.
I'm going to biasly put Ronaldo in just because he's got more goals. But very, very, that's the closest position in the team, for sure. So yeah, there's our Premier League team of the season. Pretty generic, but again, you can't really just go against it just to be different, can you? We've got Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joel Matip, Virgil van Dijk, and João Cancelo the back four. Full Manchester City midfield of Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva, and then Salah on the left, Son on the right, and Ronaldo up front. So yeah, that's
Where's your controversial takes gone?
Me?
Matt's.
What? Honestly, like, there's not a single thing which can be said which is controversial. Like, I don't know a single name I could throw in and be like, oh, he should be there. Maybe
no, some of yours are outlandish sometimes.
Maybe I could say Norgard should be nominated. That's
I can get on board with that.
Yeah, I'm with that.
He's been brilliant this season, 100%.
I just thought of that when you're talking about Brentford.
Yeah.
And Raya as well. Raya should Loki, but then he was out for ages. He should be there.
I'm very impressed with him, actually.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
Yeah,
honestly, I think he's, like, I said this about Melia and Sanchez and stuff, but I think he is the perfect modern day keeper for like a big six.
Not sure about Melia.
No, Melia is not good.
No, I'm talking about just Raya here, but I did mention the other two.
On the subject of David Raya, I watched him as a young lad for Blackburn live in the flesh, and I said in my 14-year-old self that he's going to be a player, one day. And here he is, getting nominated by Matt.
I'm sure that's the most proud moment of his life.
That's the pinnacle.
Nothing's peaking from there.
Anyway, we will move on. Haven't got too much time left. We've got some sort of individual awards to go through. So, player of the season, full on. I've got, again, quite a few nominees, but I think it's going to go down to. I think it's going to go down to three, really, between Salah, Son, De Bruyne. I really want to throw Rodri and Alisson in there as well, but I don't think it's going to get that much back in. But I think they're not underrated as such, but like, I do think they have been as good as these names we're going to talk about in a minute. I think Alisson especially, he's so crucial to Liverpool. I think he deserves a shout. Same with Rodri for the reasons we said earlier. But I think it's going to be between the obvious three of Salah, Son, De Bruyne. I don't know.
The answer is Salah.
Yeah.
I can't see anyone saying against it. Like, he still has more direct goal contributions than games played in 36 games into the season, and this is including the drop off. For a team that's 1 point behind winning the title, and you could say like De Bruyne's output, but then De Bruyne had a slow start to the season. So if you want to say Salah's had a slow end to the season, then that's completely fair. But that works completely both ways. Son, I don't think there's enough pressure on him. Yes, he's had to play under two managers. I do feel bad for him. But, when you're in a title race, the pressure is just that much more intense. So I would have it between those two. But I think it's Salah every day. I'm a huge De Bruyne fan. I think he's the best player in the league. But I would say Salah deserves it this year.
For me, it's between Salah and Son. I know Demil, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see Demil put the celebration up. So I'm guessing you're saying Son.
Yeah, Son, for the fact that this is his first,
No. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You actually think Son's player of the year? You're the first person I've heard say that.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say he has a shout.
Oh, man.
21 non-penalty.
Sorry,
Come
go
on.
Sorry, go on.
He scored. He scored. He's nearly gonna get the golden boot. 22.
Who's he behind?
Salah. Salah. Hold on. Relax. He's got 21 goals.
Yeah. Okay.
With no penalties. Salah has penalties. I'm not saying Salah has to miss, but I'm just saying it's harder to score open play goals. He's playing in a team where chances are less. Are more harder to create.
So are we going off technicalities now?
Sorry?
Are we working off technicalities because this X team is better than Y? Like this.
Well, that's a factor.
It's not why. So are we going to factor that Timu Puki's got? Timu
There's
Puki's
some
got
petrol
11
in-
goals. Timu Puki's got 10 goals less. 10 goals less than Son, and his team creates an eighth of what Tottenham create. Is he player of the year?
No, because they got.
I'd say so, yeah.
No, that's right. Sorry,
Timu
Karen,
Puki
you got
player of
two
the year.
goals.
Also, your point about the fact that he has no pressure, and Salah is in a title race. The title race came about after AFCON. Salah has been. I'll be real. Salah hasn't been to himself at all in any stage whatsoever, and he hasn't performed to the ability that we've seen him in the first half of the season. So that comment is void in my opinion.
I hear that.
You can mention that about Mane and Diaz because they've been clutch. Alisson, sure, they've been clutch, but Salah, it doesn't apply to him because.
Do you think the squad went into the start of the season thinking, we'll finish second this season, that'll be all right?
No, we're 15 behind or something, behind City. So I don't know what you on about.
Yeah, but so he still without his output, we wouldn't even be close to. I don't know how we're arguing now. The arguably the best player in one of the best point, one of the biggest points.
I'm mentioning the point that you said that Son has no pressure. Same thing with Salah. You didn't really have that much pressure on him at the start of the year. Let's be honest. Like he wasn't a title race then.
He's Mohamed Salah. What do you mean he's got no pressure?
Salah will always have that pressure.
As will Son in that sense as well. As will Son in that sense, but they're players on different levels, and I think Son's very good.
It's not that far away as you think, in my opinion.
But if we're going off, you like Ethan said, you wouldn't have even really called Son world class at this stage. You could say Salah's been world class for 4 years now.
Yeah, of course, but I'm not denying that. It's just this season though.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is I don't know how you have Son going off because they create less chances. I appreciate that. He doesn't take penalties. I appreciate that. Son also has the best centre forward in the world playing right next to him. He creates the most chances from that position. We've had to put up a stinky Jota there all season.
Salah has the most assist man in the league. Trent. So
Salah has 13. Trent has 11 though.
Huh?
Salah has 13.
That is true.
Trent has 11.
Oh,
fair enough.
I think that might be
that's a big argument.
The goals are here, but the chances Salah's created. I don't know if he was. I think in January he had the most in the Premier League, and he's got 13. He's still got the most assists in the Premier League this season.
Listen, what I'm saying is, I feel like Son definitely has to get recognition for this amazing season because
I think it's close.
Is he not? He's in the team of the season.
He is, but obviously not to the point where you think he deserves. You think it's a joke for him to be even considered.
It is.
I'm saying it's
I can't
not.
agree with that. I think Son is a close second to Salah for me.
I can't believe it.
I'll be honest.
I
feel like I'm going to be running an agenda by saying De Bruyne at this point. Like,
what, you actually got De Bruyne?
De Bruyne's closer.
I feel like how I see this.
That's the joke for me. How can you say De Bruyne's closer to Son? I mean to Salah than Son.
I think there's 4 on an even pedestal here. I think there's Son, Salah, Alisson, and De Bruyne. I think Alisson.
A goalkeeper should never win this award. That individual award.
You'll look past.
No.
And low key.
Hear me out.
They can use their hands. How is that fair?
Yeah, but Alisson's impact has been. I'm not saying he should win it, and I'd probably have him top 5, not top 3. But his impact on Liverpool this season has almost been as crucial as Salah's for me.
I'd argue it's been bigger, but you can't win. You can't win an individual award.
So you definitely can. You can't.
If you can't win an individual award, you can use your hands.
Don't Lev Yashin off to winning the Ballon d'Or.
How they
you know what?
over them?
I've just announced that Lev Yashin's Ballon d'Or is now null and void after keepers cannot win individual awards.
It is.
How can you say Alisson's impact's been bigger than Salah's if you're giving Salah team the player of the year?
Because a goalkeeper should not win an individual award. A goalkeeper should not win an individual award.
You're not making sense, mate.
How?
All right, what I'm going to go with Alisson. Alisson-wise, I'm going with because not saying he's my exact pick because for me it's between Salah and De Bruyne. I'm surprised De Bruyne's not had any mention. I'll be honest. And it feels like I'm being some controversial by throwing him in, but I think Salah and De Bruyne are in the same sort of breath as one's been really consistent for half a season and one's been really consistent for half a season. The only reason I'm edging De Bruyne, recency bias definitely comes in.
For the whole season.
But to be fair, when Son was scoring, he was honking up on the pitch. So I don't want to hear that. But anyways, that's all I'm saying.
Son has certainly been the most consistent of the 3, and you can't deny that.
No, as in there was a period where Son was getting goals every week, but he wasn't playing well.
Yeah, but
now he's playing unbelievably. But I'm just saying that is the case.
If we're taking factors into this, could you also argue that they played 1 game a week?
Oh, this is heating up.
What, Spurs?
Yeah, they threw themselves out the Conference League in what, December?
Yeah, I hear that. But again, you're bringing
Salah had to go to AFCON as well.
You're bringing variables in which you said you shouldn't do.
AFCON
said it first.
Kondo.
Tamil said the variables first. If we're going off
variables,
I'm sorry, I don't know how. Most goals this season, Mohamed Salah. Most assists this season, Mohamed Salah. 89 points and with 1 game left. It's Mohamed Salah. And if not, it's Kevin De Bruyne.
Wow. Yeah, that's my thing with De Bruyne, right? Like, as I say, they're both in the same boat. The only reason I edged De Bruyne is because I think City are going to win the league, and that's kind of just how things are. You know, the team who wins
can't three-peat, though.
Gets it. And the second thing is, not as easy to turn up in the first half of the season, because as I said, Salah turning up when they didn't have Diaz and they didn't have X player or they weren't performing or whatever is amazing. But I'm edging De Bruyne for the fact that he's done all this at crunch time in the season, really.
Yeah, I hear that.
When would you say it's crunch time, though? Like,
well, back end of the season, all the pressure's on you. Everything is, that's where the points are properly, like, not points are properly adding up. You're adding up from the start, but that's where it's getting all pressured and stuff.
I feel like De Bruyne has been very, very good, but the least amount of period, if that makes sense, of consistency. So like Salah's been consistent throughout the whole half of the season. I feel like De Bruyne, even at the start of the second half of the season, he wasn't being as impactful as he is currently now. I feel like about April, maybe late March, that's when he started hitting the ground running. But I feel like De Bruyne, just because of consistency, and that's it for me. That's what I'm basing it on, consistency, and obviously other factors in that's team, how much you're creating. But yeah, that's what I'm basing it on, consistency. And Son, in my opinion, has been the most far consistent player in the league.
I mean, I hear it, but one other thing as well, because I initially brought the topic onto Alisson, I want to just give a quick thing on him. Like, I know you say keepers shouldn't win the individual award, but I think it's you think of Alisson in that award sense, and you don't even not give him a mention per se, but it's so easy just to look past him because he's a keeper. But when you actually think about it, for one, the way Liverpool play high line wise, it's just not possible without any other keeper but Alisson. Not even just the modern day keeper. The way he sweeps, the way he ball plays, etc. But the main thing is the amount of games you've seen this season. It's 0-0. Alisson's made a 1-on-1 save. Up the other end, Liverpool score. He is an absolute catalyst to Liverpool's success, and I think he's definitely a top 4. And for me, a 5th would be Bernardo, but I think he's definitely a top 4, and I think it could be any of them. And I don't want to say anyone but Son in that sense, because I think Son's probably 3rd, but it's just going to be whoever wins the title, really. Or yeah.
I mean, we as a pod collective, Salah has got the most votes, so we will go for him. But I certainly think I'd go Son 2nd, De Bruyne 3rd. I think it's very close. But yeah, I used to be Son's biggest hater, and now I'm fighting his corner. But things change. But yeah, Salah Player of the Year. We haven't got too much time to go over the rest, but Young Player of the Year, based on the criteria, it is Trent. I don't think there's much debate there. I mean, obviously, if you're going to go for hey.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
So
they need to just restructure that award.
I think it should be under 21.
As a young player anymore. That's what.
Yeah. So
did Sterling not win it when he was 24?
What is that
He started the season at 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you know what? I'm classifying it on this at least as under 21. So I'm taking Saka. Because I'm not buying this 23-year-old.
What's his trophy, to be fair?
Rice is in his 5th season or something like that. And
that's commendable, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. But you're telling me Young Player of the Year, it should be not a gem per se,
rookie of the year.
It could be like breakthrough. It could be like breakthrough season of the year or something like that.
Yeah, it just doesn't sit right with me that 23-year-olds can win out. It just makes no sense.
I know, I completely agree. It does need to be revamped. And the last topic before we wrap up, manager of the season. I've got 5 names down. I don't think anyone else will be brought up for this, and I think it's between 2 or 3. Obviously, it's Klopp and Guardiola are there without doubt. Thomas Frank, Eddie Howe, and David Moyes. I think the first 4 I mentioned, I think are the top 4. Yeah, Moyes, again, West Ham have had a brilliant season. We spoke about them before a couple of weeks ago, so we won't go on about him too much. But what are we saying for this?
I think whoever wins the league.
Do you not think the other two have a shout at all?
No, because of the point tally. I think they're very.
See, that's the thing as well. Like, you got like there's different objectives for.
Can I just say, right? Can I just say, what's a bigger achievement? Man City winning the league or Brentford getting 48 points and coming like 12?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like Brentford, in my opinion, it will definitely be that the official will definitely give it to Klopp or Pep, whoever. But I love managers who beat the expectations and get a club or stay in the division where then all doubts are casted upon them, or getting 48 points in a breakthrough season, finishing 12th.
We all know that's not how it works, though.
Yeah, no, but if
it's my opinion,
they're on 46 points with 1 game to go, 11th place. There's a chance of getting top half. I think you can certainly argue that that's a bigger achievement than even Man City or Liverpool winning the league.
Who won Manager of the Year when Chris Wilder got Sheffield United?
It was Klopp, wasn't it?
Jurgen Klopp, yeah.
Say as well, like.
However, I just think I would argue Thomas Frank. I hate the bloke, quite frankly, but I think he's done a fantastic job.
I agree, but could you not argue as well that Liverpool are just great top four, and they've got, like, in that same notion of not overachieving per se, because Liverpool have been so good over the last few years, but could you not say for them to go from edging top four to going to a side which just pushed City to the very last second?
In that same note, Matt, sorry, anyone who predicted us to finish, in a top four battle last season based off last year is an absolute idiot. And this goes for a lot of people on, journalists, Sky Sports, BBC, The Athletic, whatever it is, even just the people on Twitter. But the fact that they thought we'd fallen off because of, a season of injuries, I don't know what you boys thought at the start of the season, but like everyone with a brain, you'd be right back up there.
I think my words were title challenge depends on variables, such as Mane hitting top form, signing players, which you did, the midfield, Thiago staying fit. I mean, I think that's pretty much what I said, dependent on variables, and all those variables have gone in your favour. Yeah. So,
but end of the day, the question, I'm happy. I think it will go to whoever wins the league, probably Pep Guardiola. But I'm happy to put my vote in for Thomas Frank. I
think it'll go to Klopp either way,
Yeah, but if they're going on Premier League alone, then you give it to the manager who wins the league. If you're going on all competitions, then it's obviously Klopp. But obviously, Howe, I just want to mention quickly, I won't quite give it to him, but the job he's done has been phenomenal, because I really did think Newcastle were dead and buried, even with the signings they brought in, which have all done brilliantly. Even after that, I thought they were going down. And again, they're 11 points clear of the drop, and that is a ridiculous achievement. And I think they're opening talks for a new contract, and rightly so. But I really do want to make a case for Thomas Frank, because I think that achievement of keeping Brentford up, considering we spoke about this again a few weeks ago, the flip-flopping of clubs at the minute that just can't cope with the finances when they come straight back up because they're just miles off it. And to stay up comfortably when their squad really isn't all that is fantastic. And I think he definitely deserves a shout. However, he won't get given it, which is why I want to bring it up even more, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm happy to agree with you.
All right, so Thomas Frank is our manager of the year. Just quickly, signing of the season, we haven't got too much time. I reckon Jose Sarr would be mine.
I don't know. Don't really care.
Sure,
I think without Sarr this season, Wolves would be without Sarr this season, Wolves would be like 14th, 15th. Generally believe that.
I would have agreed, but Wolves have kind of tailed off, and the defense has got quite.
I don't know. I don't really know any name, to be honest. Like,
I've got 6 names down. Romero,
like 2 when they both joined in January.
Diaz, Kulusevski, and Sarr.
God, that is poor, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not a great lineup of players. So
no, because most of the big name transfers, like the Lukaku, Grealishes, didn't do it, and the smaller name ones, not they fell off per se, but like Gallagher even struggled.
Yeah, you can have Ronaldo, to be fair. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Either him or I'm throwing Dan Burns' name in the hat.
Dan Burns is a lovely shout. I like that.
any of the Newcastle players, to be honest, you could put right up there. I think Guimaraes and Target have been brilliant as well.
You know what though? Like honestly, my top 4 for this list is pretty much all January transfers. Like Dan Burn, Kulusevski, Diaz, and there was one other I just forgot. Ericsson, that's it.
Oh, Ericsson, of course. Oh, Ericsson, I forgot about him, of course, right up there. But yeah, we'll go Ronaldo. If you don't want to go Ronaldo, any of those names you could throw in there. January signings were brilliant. Dan Burn, Ericsson.
I'm going Dan Burn to beat Ronaldo. So there we go.
Even Bruno,
no, I'm joking.
Even Bruno Guimaraes, his name.
He's been fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, there's so January was a much better month for signings than summer was, which is.
But it's the low key signings that worked out rather than because you had Sancho, who I'm sure will still be good, but hasn't been great. Grealish, Lukaku, you had so many big name signings. Varane as well.
I feel like a few of our boys would have had a real big shout in there, like Tomiyasu, but injuries are screw them.
Yeah.
White, maybe same. I think White's up there personally, but. That might be biased, I don't know. And Ramsdale's not been near as good second.
The last 10 games has just killed his hopes for any sort of recognition like this, I think. But
Odegaard's similar-ish with the away game stuff. I think that's why he just missed out. But White's our best contention for it, I think, and I think he's right.
100%.
I'm going to Ronaldo, me.
Yeah, well, I'm happy with Ronaldo, but again, there's lots of shouts up there. It's not really what I feel too strongly on. But yeah, that is all we've got time for today. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope it wasn't too generic because I know a lot of people are doing this sort of thing. I hope we said some things that are different to what other people are saying. But yeah, just wanted to get on with this. And obviously, it's a big weekend of football, which we will cover in the next episode. We just haven't got time today. There's a lot to talk about still. But yeah, that's about all we got time for today. So thank you very much for watching and listening. If you want to follow us on social media, it's Twitter @TM4Pod. So hit us up there, and then you can find all our other links there. Thank you very much for all the support we're getting. We really do appreciate it, and we're really loving recording these. So yeah, have a great rest of your week. I'll see you in the next one.